always a pleasure here working here at the Anaheim Bowl, where the audiences are A1. You know that old saying, an act is just as good as an audience? That makes me on top tonight. I had a small audience last Wednesday. Some fellow was here celebrating. They'd only been married 4 days, and it was their first night out. It's good to see him up and around again. And this, he's a real character. And he likes this song here called The Hot Canary. Have you ever heard it? It's a tricky little... Have you heard it before? A guy named Joe Venuti used to do it on the violin. Al, you used to play violin. His wife says his fiddling keeps her awake at night. Now, this crazy kid. And where's Bob? He's a musician, too. He used to play trumpet, then he went played flute with John Philip Sousa's band. And I was doing this canary number because I like birds. I used to belong to a club, and it was called the Protection for the Migratory Birds. I'd walk down the street, and they'd say, there goes Roy, he's for the birds. Now, they were a little jealous. I had a few rare ones. I had one called, it was a ooh-ah bird. It lays a square egg, and it goes, ooh, ah. Now, that's an old one, isn't it? I just wanted to refresh your memory. Now, I had another cute little bird called a zowie bird, and they only mate every 10 years, and zowie. Now, of course, he just does it for a lark. Now, yes. Now, there's one bird I feel sorry for, and that's that big stork. He doesn't have near as much fun delivering those babies as we do making them. Yes. Did you hear about the parakeet that ate beans? He wanted to become a thunderbird. Sorry, back to the funny ones. Now, you know, I bought a minor bird once because it spoke 5 languages, and I mailed it home to Mother. And I phoned her up the next day, and I said, you know, I paid $500 for that minor bird. How did you like it? And she says, delicious. I said, that bird spoke 3 languages. That's odd. She says, I shoved him in the oven. He didn't say a word. Now, she's not too well. Now, I was doing this song one night at the bar, you know. Tweet, tweet. And just then a guy walked up to me and he says, Roy, my best pal just ran away with my girlfriend. I said, so what? And he said, I miss him. Now, miss him? I said, are you queer? No, I said, I'm just mysterious. I just want to be queen for a day. Now, get out of here. So I went right on playing my song, and tweet, tweet. Just then, a guy walked up to me and he says, hey, pal, I'm saying goodnight to you. I'm taking my girl to Florida. I said, are you going to Tampa with her? He says, Miami. Now, well, I said, if you don't, Jacksonville. And they ended up in St. Petersburg. Way down south there. Now, I went right on diddling with this tune. Finally, one girl was standing at the bar there, and she had a mink stole on, so she turned to the girl next to her, and she says, where did you get your mink? And she says, I met a man with $1,000. Where'd you get yours? She says, I met 1,000 men with $1. Now, just then, she walked out in front. She had this little chihuahua in her arms. And the bus driver says, no dogs allowed on this bus. Well, she says, you know what you can do with this bus. Well, he said, now, lady, you do the same thing with that dog, and you can ride the bus. No one likes us. Now, when I toot the horn, that means it's a gasser. Now, this bus driver, he was yelling, all aboard, gentlemen, long pants, full price, little boys, short pants, half price. The kid says, come on, Ma, you don't have to pay nothing. Yeah, beat it, kid. Now, this is their favorite song. It's a Latin tune. I have a rumba beat in the left hand here. Now this Don Juan, he likes almost all Latin tunes. Now I have one here that you may have never even heard. It's called She Was Cooking a Goose, and he was doing vice versa. Now, cha-cha-cha. Did you figure that one out over there? All right. These are pretty tricky. If you don't laugh at these, I'm not going to tell you the funny ones. Now, I heard that one years ago in the Navy. I was in the Navy quite a while, and I never did meet that Pearl Harbor that kept getting attacked. Now, but we had a good time, and I remember we were in San Francisco. It was the second week of my 2-day pass, and had a really good time. And my buddy was abroad for quite a while. He was in France, and he wrote home to his wife, and he says, "Dear wife, send me $6 for some razor blades and stuff." She wrote back and says, "Enclosed is $1 for the blades. The stuff's here." Now, boy, she really read him right off. Now, he was in France there. We went to this big party, and this French girl, she got stuck right in the rim of this chair, you know. It was an old straw chair, and she got stuck in the rim. Well, we're trying to pull her out. Al had her right arm, Bill had her left arm, and I had her by the... We're trying to pull her out of the chair. It was just no use, so I just sawed off the back of the chair and the 4 legs and threw her and the rest of the chair on the couch, and I called the doctor over. I says, "Doc, what do you think about this?" "Ah," he said, "pretty nice, but I don't see why you should frame it." Yeah, well, we sobered him right up, and now, she was a very wealthy girl. She has a swanky apartment right there in Paris. Her apartment is right above the bank there, right above the vault. I guess her asset's over $1 million. And she's a nice lady. She gives it away, money away. In fact, once to show you what a kind heart she has, she had $100. She says, "I'm going down in the rough part of town and give it to the needy." Here was a shabby-looking fella. She slapped $100 in his hand and says, "Godspeed." 2 days later, he walked up to her and says, "Hey, here's $1,000. Godspeed came in and paid 10 to 1. Now, I like horses. You like horses, Al? Well, I dreamt I was in bed with a horse once. Of course, it was a nightmare. Now, I mean, you can lead a horse to drink, but you can't make him water. Let's see, you can lead a horse to drink. Now, this number here, I'll do for Bob over here. Are you over there, Bob? They're celebrating... Wait a minute. Yeah, there he is. Your 14th anniversary? All righty, it's called Once in a While. Like that old tune there? No? Now, lovely couple there. And the other, that's Martin over there. It's celebrating the 13th anniversary, right? I says, "They say married people live longer than single people." No, he said, "It just seems longer." Now, yes. And we're going to a big party later. We always go out to Bob's house for parties. We had what we call a novelty party. We call it that on account of everybody takes their own wife along, which is like taking a sandwich to a banquet. We're out there last time, and he was playing this silly game with this girl. He'd tap her on the tummy and say, "Knock, knock, who's there?" She says, "Nobody, I hope." Now, well, she was a real... Now, and the newlyweds were on their way out, and there was one girl there. We called her Ship Shape. She had a shape like a ship. She didn't have much money, but she put up a big front. Now, they're playing the wedding song as the newlyweds arrive. Just then, Bob yelled out, "The bridesmaid!" And Al said, "So soon?" Well, he had had a few too. Now, they had this big cake, you know, and the bride is cutting the cake, and the groom seemed to be restless. I guess he just wanted to get out of there. I heard him say, "Let's go upstairs and get our things together." Now, there aren't many people left now at the party. And I turned to this girl, and I said, "I'd ask you to dance, but all the cars are taken." She said, "Did you notice this V in the front of my sweater?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "That stands for virgin." Of course, she said, "This is an old sweater." Now, just then her boyfriend walks up. He says, "Hey, you want to go fly fishing?" I said, "Well, I'd rather go fish fishing." Yeah. Well, he says, "Do you have a line?" I says, "Well, the one about my wife doesn't understand me is going pretty good." I said, "I took my girl fishing last Sunday." He says, "Did you catch anything?" And I said, "I hope not." I think they did. And what a girl. Funny-looking girl. I mean, she had big bags under her eyes. Of course, most girls do have. That's why they wear sweaters. And she ran out here and hopped in a taxi and says, "Take me to the Anaheim Bowl." Well, the guy drove her from Fullerton to Anaheim Bowl. Oh, my goodness. She says, how much is the fare? He says, $5. Oh, my goodness. She says, I left my purse home. Drive me back. He says, don't give me that, lady. If you don't have any money, you'll just have to get in the back seat and take off your panties. Well, she said, okay, but I only gave 98 cents for those. Yes. Well, she came in here, and she says, you know, Roy, I was out on Lover's Lane with a guy last night. He said, either things go my way, or I'll break your arm. And she said he would have, too. 2 days later, she went to the doctor, and he says, I have examined you thoroughly, a complete physical checkup, and I have good news for you, Mrs. Smith. Oh, no. She says, the name is Miss Smith. He says, I have bad news for you, Miss Smith. Well, 2 days later, she got married. Had to. And she was sitting around the house working on this crossword puzzle. She said, I'm stumped here. She said, Roy, what is a four-letter word ending in I-T? It says right here that it's found in the bottom of bird cages, and the governor's full of it. Well, I said that would be grit. Oh, by golly, she said, you're right. Do you have an eraser? Now, yes, she's a real... Now, well, 2 weeks later, her and her husband are having fights. So she says, Judge, I want a divorce. He says, does your husband drink too much? She says, no. Well, he said, you got to have grounds for a divorce. He's a gambler. No, she said, he doesn't gamble. He beat you? Yes, she said, every time. And now, thank you. Now, we're going to do a song for Bill and Ann, right? They have their 7th anniversary over here. And this is one of their favorite songs. It's called Antlers in the Treetops, or Who Goosed a Moose. Before I do that, though, see if you recognize this one, which you may like even better than that one. It's called The Object of My Affection, She's in the House of Correction. Now, or here's one for Bob. It's called I Want a Girl Just Like the Girl That Dad Had on the Side. Now, here's one last polka. It's called I'm Looking Over an Old Pushover. Now, this is a western scene, and they have this big ranch. It's called the Westward Ho. They said, Roy, dress up as a cowboy. We're going to try to get the tourists out to this ranch western style. You drive that stagecoach, boy, and you bring in those customers. And I said, yes, sir. And I goofed. The first day I was out there yelling, all aboard for the Westward Ho House. He said, Westward Ho Ranch, you idiot. Now, this, yes. There was the cutest little cowgirl there, and she couldn't keep her calves together. Cows in a group. And so I walked up to her and I said, would you commit adultery for $1 million? And she said, yes, sir. I said, would you commit adultery for $2? She says, I should say not. What do you think I am? And I said, well, you settled that. All we're haggling about now is the price. Now, yes. Now, right next to the ranch is this big home. It's for elderly men, old man's home. I walked up, and this old-timer, he says, you know, I'm 90 years old. He's all gray-haired. But he says, I get around pretty good. I eat health foods. The other guy says, I'm 92. I get 8 hours sleep, and I never go to late parties. A third guy came up, big bags under his eyes, bald. He looked pretty bad. They said, what about you, partner? Well, he says, I eat anything, get very little sleep, and go out to late parties and bring on the chicks. They said, how old are you? He says, 16. 16? Now, this... I turned to the 90-year-old man, and I said, you think there's as much love going on nowadays as there used to be? He said, yeah, but there's a new bunch doing it there. There's a new crowd in there, boy. I said, you're right. Well, get some go pills here. Now, get out of here. Now, the 95-year-old man, he went into the doctor. He said, hey, there's something wrong. I'm getting old. I'm 95, and he says, there's something awfully wrong here. I've lost my desires for sex. The doc says, when did you first notice this, pal? Well, he said, I noticed it last night and again this morning. Now, last night and again this morning, yes. Well, Well, I was with my girl at the time. We went to this strange apartment. It was hers. Tall son of a gun. I can see her standing there now with her foot propped up on the transom. I said, what are you whistling at? She says, I see you're no gentleman. I said, well, I see you're no gentleman, too. Save your funnies. Now, next door, the married couple, they're having a big fight. So I went next door and I said, what's the trouble, Sarge? Well, he says, there's a stranger in my bed here. And I said, so there is. He says, I'm going to shoot this stranger in my bed. And I says, fire away. His wife says, no, don't shoot the stranger in bed. He's not a stranger to me. This man in your bed paid off our house, he paid off our car, and he bought all of our groceries last year. He said, well, really? We'll cover the damn fool up. He's liable to catch cold. Get out of here. Now, Bill, you rascal, here's a song for Bill. He's got to get home right away. When he goes home late, his wife really blows her top. In fact, he says, when I go home, I coast into the garage. I don't even close the garage doors. I take off my shoes. I tiptoe into the bedroom. And still, my wife turns on the lights and says, where have you been? Do you realize the hour? Yak, 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 yak. Just then, Bob over here says, hey, Bill, you're going home the wrong way. The way to go home is skid into the garage, toot the car horn, slam both garage doors, leave your shoes on, stomp into the bedroom, slap your wife on the back, say, baby, I'm home, how about it? And she'll always pretend like she's asleep.